You know what, viewers? I got some advice for you. When you're done playing this game, you're gonna want a couple things. Number 1, gas. Number 2, matches. Oh, boy. You guys at Bethesda. Light it up.
The story for The Evil Within has you following Detective Sebastian Castellanos as he and his colleagues are investigating a mass murder at a local mental hospital. Just moments after arriving, Sebastian is ambushed by the game's main antagonist and awakes inside a dungeon-like area located somewhere within the mental hospital, and after escaping the mental hospital, the world around him begins to break apart and Sebastian is separated from his colleagues, and from really that point on, it becomes a repeating process of Sebastian going from location to location, just trying to figure out exactly what is going on. Now, viewers, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. What I just told you is really the best explanation I can give you about this game's plot, because to me, The Evil Within has unquestionably some of the worst writing and storytelling I have ever seen in a survival horror game, period. For starters, none of the characters get any kind of character development. Our main protagonist, Sebastian, is simply flat and lifeless for most of the time, only rarely asking the question, what's going on here? And as for his two colleagues, you'll wonder why they're even in the game to begin with, because they contribute nothing to the plot and just sort of pop in and out from time to time for no reason, just to give Sebastian an excuse to talk to someone for a few scenes. There are lots of little notes and journal files throughout the game, but all they seem to do is talk about events or actions that certain people have done, and none of them seem to add anything to help us understand the plot or anything that is really going on in this world. The pacing in this game is horrible, and nothing is really explained until the last third of the game once you reach chapters 10 and 11, when you finally learn a little bit about the backstory on the main antagonist and exactly what happened to him and how he was creating this world you are in. However, after that is somewhat explained, the ending will have you asking even more questions on what happened over the course of the entire game and whether or not things did or did not even happen. I went to Wikipedia and read the entire plot to see if I missed anything, and even that did a terrible job at explaining anything. The best way I could describe this game is like this. The Evil Within is like mixing The Matrix with Inception. However, the main antagonist is Freddy Krueger, but instead of him using your own fears against you to kill you, he's trying to pull off a plan that Chucky the doll would be attempting. That's the best way I can describe The Evil Within, and if you didn't understand that at all, then you are better off making up your own plot as you go along, because this game makes zero sense. The gameplay to The Evil Within plays as a third-person survival horror shooter, similar to something like Dead Space. The game has 15 chapters and will take you to various different locations, each location providing its own unique form of enemies. Some enemies will act like standard zombies and will attempt to kill you with their bare hands, while others will carry a large variety of weapons like guns, knives, explosives, and even chainsaws. The game also has a great collection of unique bosses that all require different approaches and will require you to use your resources and the environment itself to your advantage in order to survive. Now, due to the nature of the environment and the variety of enemies, you are advised to avoid trying to kill every single enemy in your path, but to choose your engagements wisely, as you must use your resources wisely, otherwise you will find yourself running out of much needed ammunition, making later levels a lot harder than they needed to be. The player will also have access to a large variety of weapons such as a revolver, shotgun, sniper rifle, knife, and grenade, which can all be used to dispatch your enemies. All your physical status and weapons are all upgradable as well. As you scavenge for supplies and dispatch your enemies, you will collect green gel. You can then take this green gel to a rest area represented as a small medical facility, and it is here that you will upgrade your status and weapons however you choose. The medical facility is also your main location where you save your progress, along with being able to use specialized keys which you will collect over the course of the game in order to unlock special lockers that carry supplies. Now, despite being a survival horror game recommending you to use stealth whenever you can, there are a number of sections that are fast-paced, giving a somewhat action-orientating feeling of knowing when to speed up the game. In short, The Evil Within takes the game style of Dead Space 1 and takes you away from space and encourages you to use stealth in a disturbing environment that will punish you if you attempt to go Rambo too often, as some survival horror games tend to do. Despite The Evil Within only running at 30 frames per second, thereby not really looking as good as it could have been on the current gen systems, the developers at Bethesda were still able to create a very rich and engaging experience with their masterful use of visual styles, sound, and level design. The game screen is set at a 2:35 aspect ratio, giving the game a very cinematic look, and it does a really great job at transitioning from gameplay to cutscenes smoothly. The world of The Evil Within is simply disturbing, as there's blood, gore, and corpses everywhere from beginning to end. And it seemed that the Resident Evil creator Shinji Mikami was focused on deliberately making the player feel powerless by taking place in confined areas and presenting enemies that encourage you to run and hide instead of engaging in combat. The noises that the enemies will make will keep you on your toes, allowing you to identify over time what enemies you will face next or who's in the room with you without you knowing exactly where they are. Because in The Evil Within, it's always the enemy that you don't see that gets you. And the game's soundtrack simply adds to the already disturbing atmosphere, giving me a survival horror experience that I've never really quite experienced before in other franchises. Though there are a number of locations that I have visited before in other games, I can really say that I have never quite gone through them like this before.
Now, in conclusion, despite the fact that, in my opinion, The Evil Within has probably some of the worst writing and storytelling that I have ever seen in a survival horror game like this, I can happily say that the game really does redeem itself in every other department. The Evil Within does an amazing job at creating a really creepy atmosphere, where you never know exactly what the next chapter is going to bring you, what enemy is going to be behind the next corner, or how you're going to use your limited resources to get yourself out of a really sticky situation. And it's also incredibly challenging. Yes, you are going to really want to break this game or burn it and send it straight to hell, despite the fact that you will die a lot of times. But I ask you to keep going and push through and persevere, because once you've beaten this game, you are going to have a pretty rewarding feeling knowing that you've probably played the first true survival horror game that we have gotten for these current gen systems. And I can happily say that despite the fact that I died probably more times in my first playthrough of The Evil Within than I would have playing through any of the old Resident Evil games, in any of the Dead Space games on the hardest difficulty, that it was still a very rewarding experience. Now, if I had to give this game a rating, it would have to be a 7.5 out of 10. If you're a fan of survival horror games like I am, then this is certainly a must-own. I'm not really sure if I can see this game becoming a franchise, but this is a blueprint that I would use to tell other companies like Capcom that this is how you do survival horror games with the current gameplay mechanics, and how it can really give you a truly amazing experience. Now, like always, if you like this video, please like, comment down below, and please subscribe to track me in my future movie and video game reviews and topic videos. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.